Welcome back to the Four Poros, where we play free-for-all Riftbound. Today, Karl is the starting player. For that reason, he does not provide any battlefield. He is playing the legend Darius, Hand of Noxus, with the champion unit Darius Trifarian. This deck is an aggressive deck aiming to play at least 2 cards a turn and leverage the legend ability of Darius. Amin is in seed 2. He is playing the legend Annie, Darkchild, with the champion unit Annie, Fiery. This deck aims to play damage spells and abilities to control the board and get easy conquers. He provides the battlefield Voidgate. John is in seed 3. He is playing the legend Garen, Might of Demacia, with the champion unit Garen, Commander. This deck has the ability to go wide, while also having the ability to board wipe enemies at battlefields. He provides the battlefield Valmos Lair. Luca is in seed 4, and he is playing the legend Victor, Herald of the Arcane, with the champion unit Victor, Innovator. This deck aims to play cards during opponents' turns to build an army while being a thorn in everyone else's side. He provides the battlefield the Dreaming Tree. All deck lists can be found in the description below. Karl is off to an incredibly fast start. He plays a Seal of Unity while floating an energy. Since he played a card this turn, he fulfills the Legion requirement to activate Darius's Legend ability and adds a second energy. Then, he plays a Vanguard Captain using the Seal of Unity. He also activates the Vanguard Captain's Legion ability, since he played another card this turn, and gets 2 recruit tokens. The other players are impressed and worried. Amin has a modest first turn in comparison. He plays a Traveling Merchant and passes the turn forgetting to untap 2 runes. John plays a Soaring Scout and passes the turn. Luca plays a Lecturing Yordle, draws a card, then passes the turn. Karl has 3 units and sees 3 empty battlefields. He starts by conquering the Dreaming Tree with his Vanguard Captain and claims the first point of the game. Karl conquers the Valmos Lair with a recruit token and gets his second point. Then, he conquers the Voidgate with his second recruit token and reaches 3 points on turn 2. Almost halfway there already. Karl plays a Soaring Scout into the Dreaming Tree and passes to Amin. Amin attacks the Valmos Lair with his Traveling Merchant. He discards a card, a Firestorm, then draws a card using the Merchant's ability. He wins the showdown and gets his first point. Amin has no other plays and passes. John plays a Faithless Manufacturer, gets a recruit token, and passes to Luca. Luca plays his champion unit Victor Innovator. Luca attacks the Voidgate with his Lecturing Yordle and gains his first point. Karl holds the Dreaming Tree and reaches 4 points. Karl plays a second Vanguard Captain directly at the Dreaming Tree. However, since the Vanguard Captain is his first spell of the turn, Karl does not get the Legion ability and does not get to make 2 recruit tokens this time. Karl does get the Legion effect for his Noxus Hopeful, which now costs 2 less. Karl changes his mind and plays both cards at his base. Amin holds the Valmos Lair and reaches 2 points. Amin plays his champion unit Annie, Fiery, directly into his base. Amin passes to John and untaps 2 runes. John plays a Recruit the Vanguard to summon 4 recruit tokens into his base. He is still at 0 points, but he does not attack and passes the turn. Luca holds the Voidgate and reaches 2 points. He plays his own Soaring Scout into the Voidgate. Then, he plays a Ravenbloom student into his base. Luca attacks the Valmos Lair with Victor Innovator. The Victor has 3 might against the Traveling Merchant's 2. Neither player plays any cards, and Luca wins the showdown, achieving 3 points. Luca plays a recruit token using the Victor Legend ability into his base and passes the turn. Karl starts his 4th turn holding the Dreaming Tree to get his 5th point. Then, He attacks the Valmaz lair with the Vanguard Captain and Noxus Hopeful. He presents a total of 7 might against Luca's 3. Luca plays a retreat to return Victor Innovator to his hand. He also gets a recruit token for playing a card during an opponent's turn, thanks to the Victor Innovator. After checking the ruling, Luca should not have created a recruit token, because in Riftbound, a card is only played once it is completely resolved, not when it enters the chain. The extra recruit token will not have any impact on the result of this game. Karl wins the showdown and gains his 6th point. Karl plays his champion unit Darius Trifarian. Then he plays a cleave to give Darius Assault 3. As this is Karl's 2nd card of the turn, he readies Darius Trifarian, who gets +2 might until the end of this turn. Then Karl attacks the Void Gate with Darius Trifarian, who has a total of 10 might. He easily defeats the Lecturing Yordle and Soaring Scout. Karl gains his 7th point, and Luca channels an Exhausted Rune from the Death Knell of the Soaring Scout. If Karl holds any of these 3 battlefields, he wins the game. During Amin's turn, the players discuss how to conquer all battlefields and make sure that Karl does not win. Amin plays a Firestorm to deal 4 damage, thanks to the boost from Annie Fiery, to all units at the Valmaz lair. This wipes out the 2 units there. Amin passes the turn to John and untaps 2 runes. John starts his turn by playing a Confront. His units enter ready this turn, and he draws a card. John plays his champion unit Garen Commander. John attacks the Void Gate with Garen Commander and 4 recruit tokens. He presents a total of 13 might against Darius's 5. John wins the showdown and Karl chooses to kill Garen Commander. Since John conquered with 4 units, he draws 2 cards using the Garen Legend ability. John finally gains his 1st point of the game. John conquers the Valmaz lair with the Soaring Scout and gains his 2nd point. He passes the turn to Luca, who must deal with the Dreaming Tree to prevent Karl from winning the game. Luca plays a Hidden Blade to kill the Vanguard Captain at the Dreaming Tree. Karl draws 2 cards. Luca attacks the Dreaming Tree with his Ravenbloom student. Neither player plays any cards and Luca wins the showdown. Karl channels an Exhausted Rune from the Death Knell trigger and Luca gains his 4th point. Luca also attacks the Valmaz lair with 2 recruit tokens. The scout trades with a recruit and John channels an Exhausted Rune. Luca reaches 5 points. Then Luca replays his champion unit Victor Innovator into his base. Luca also plays a 2nd Ravenbloom student, this time into his base. He passes the turn. Karl starts the rebuild phase with a Spectral Matron. He plays from his trash, for free, a Vanguard Captain. Karl gets 2 recruit tokens from the Legion trigger of the Vanguard Captain. Karl plays a 2nd Spectral Matron and plays a 2nd Vanguard Captain from his trash. Karl went from an empty board to suddenly a full board. If he finds one of the Grand Stratagems in his deck, he is in a prime position to win the game. Karl passes the turn. Fearing the worst, Amin plays a Falling Star and targets each of the Spectral Matrons to deal 4 damage to them thanks to the bonus from Annie Fiery. Amin is holding 2 Tibbers in his hand. Although he could have played the Tibbers to wipe out all the units at all the battlefields, that would just offer the win to Karl. Amin has no cheaper units to play and passes the turn. John holds the Void Gate to get his 3rd point. He attacks the Valmaz lair with his Faithful Manufacturer. John wins the showdown and gains his 4th point. John plays Anivia Primal into the Void Gate. Then he plays a Faithful Manufacturer also at the Void Gate to make a win attempt more difficult for Karl on his turn. He passes the turn, leaving 1 recruit token at his base. Luca holds the Dreaming Tree and reaches 6 points. Luca plays an accelerated Thousand-Tailed Watcher. The Watcher reduces the might of all enemy units by 3, to a minimum of 1. Luca attacks the Valmaz lair with the Thousand-Tailed Watcher and Ravenbloom student, and easily defeats the Faithful Manufacturer. Luca ties Karl with 7 points and controls 2 battlefields. On his 6th turn, Karl plays a Soaring Scout into his base. Then he plays a Noxian Guillotine to kill the Thousand-Tailed Watcher. Since this is Karl's 2nd card of the turn, he gets the Legion effect on the Noxian Guillotine. Karl decides to leave his unit at his base and let the other players deal with the battlefields controlled by Luca. Amin still believes that playing the Tibbers in his hand is too risky. At the same time, he needs to catch up in points. After complaining about how bad his hand is, Amin plays a Void Seeker to kill the Ravenbloom student at the Dreaming Tree. Amin draws a card. Amin plays a second Annie Fiery, then moves his other Annie Fiery to the Dreaming Tree, gaining his 3rd point. Amin passes and readies 2 runes. John holds the Void Gate and reaches 5 points. John plays a Warwick, which enters ready. He attacks the Valmaz lair with Warwick. If Luca holds this battlefield, he wins the game. Luca plays a Smokescreen to reduce the might of Warwick by 4 and increase the might of the Ravenbloom student by 1. John asks for help from Amin to prevent Luca from winning the game. With no other choice, Amin sacrifices 2 Chaos Rune as part of the cost to play a Rebuke to return the Ravenbloom student to Luca's hand. This allows John to win the showdown and go to 6 points. John plays a Vanguard Captain into his base, then passes the turn to a disappointed Luca. Luca replays the Ravenbloom student into his base. He plays a Recruit token into his base using the Victor Legend ability, then plays 2 Watchful Sentries. He then passes the turn to Karl. Karl plays a Darius Trifarian, followed by another Darius Trifarian. They both untap and get +2 might for the turn. Karl empties his hand and plays a Cleave to give one of the Darius Trifarian Assault. Karl has just enough total might on the board to conquer all battlefields. However, Karl is worried of the interaction that Luca or John might have. Specifically, if Luca has another Smokescreen, Karl cannot conquer all 3 battlefields. Since he needs to prevent John from winning, and he has no other cards in hand, Karl goes to conquer the Valmaz lair with all his new units. John trades his Warwick for 2 Recruit tokens and a Vanguard Captain. Karl cannot gain his 8th point with this conquer and draws a card instead. For the final point in Riftbound, you either need to hold a battlefield or score all 3 battlefields in the same turn. Amin holds the Dreaming Tree and reaches 4 points. Amin plays an Annie Stubborn into the Dreaming Tree and returns from his trash a Firestorm. Amin moves his Annie Fiery back to base, then Amin passes the turn and readies 2 runes. John holds the Void Gate and goes to 7 points. John plays an Imperial Decree. This turn, whenever any unit takes damage, that unit will die. John suicides a Recruit token into the Valmaz lair to kill off a Darius Trifarian. He does that a 2nd time to kill the 2nd Darius Trifarian. Finally, he does this a 3rd time to trade with the Vanguard Captain. John conquers the Dreaming Tree with his Vanguard Captain, and since he cannot win his 8th point this way, he draws a card. John passes the turn and forces Luca to deal with the Valmaz lair, and therefore prevent Karl from winning the game. Luca attacks the Valmaz lair with 2 Watchful Sentries and the Victor Innovator. Karl chooses to kill the Victor Innovator and does not give Luca his Death Knell triggers on the sentries. Luca wins the showdown but cannot get his 8th point, so he draws a card. Then, Luca plays a Consult the Past to draw 2 more cards. He continues the card draw train by playing a Lecturing Yordle. Luca attacks the Dreaming Tree with the Ravenbloom student and 2 Recruit tokens. The captain and the student trade, and Luca wins the showdown. When he conquers that battlefield, Luca draws yet another card as a reward, because he cannot gain his 8th point this way. Luca passes the turn. Karl starts turn 8 with nothing in play except a Seal of Unity. He did not draw any gas, and plays a lonely Soaring Scout, then passes the turn. Amin plays a Firestorm to deal 6 damage to all units at the Void Gate. The spell's damage is increased by the 2 Anti-Fiery and the effect of the Void Gate. John reacts with an Unyielding Spirit to prevent the damage from spells this turn. Amin makes a desperate attack and sends all his units to the Void Gate. Luca did have a smoke screen and targets Anivia. But it is not enough, as John barely holds on and maintains control of the battlefield with the Soaring Scout. What a comeback for the Garen deck. Garen had 0 points for the first 3 turns and manages to snatch the win. If you enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe. Your support means the world to us and gives us motivation to make more videos. Until next time, ciao.